It is finally time to show you my Red Eyes deck I've been working on for about a month since the new Meteor Comet Dragon card came out. I've been trying out a bunch of different builds and testing things out. I'm trying to find like a Red Eyes deck that's actually fun and enjoyable, but also kind of wins games. The archetype is in a bad spot, however, it shouldn't stop us from having fun with the cards. Let's go into the deck. We are running about 44 cards, and this is because we have a bunch of cards that send like Red Eyes monsters to the graveyard. So, I mean, the deck is bigger, however, it's not really, if that makes sense. We are playing 3 Red Eyes Black Dragon. This is kind of a brick in the deck if you draw it, so obviously 3 of them is kind of maybe unnecessary. However, there's so many cards in our deck that send the Red Eyes cards to the graveyard, and we kind of need multiple Red Eyes because the whole deck kind of plays off of it. Although it's kind of a brick in the hand, there are things we can do to get it out of the hand, and there's other things we got going on. So it is kind of a dead card in the hand, but it's not like the end of the world. Next up, we got the Black Meteor Comet. This card is really nice for this archetype. In case you don't know what this card does, we can send a level 5 or higher normal monster from our hand or deck to the graveyard and special summon this for free. Then we get to increase its level by 1, so we can make it level 7. Having it at level 6 is important though, because when it's level 6, we can use it to summon Black, or that Meteor Comet Dragon, the fusion monster. So this card does help us go into our rank 7 plays, but also helps us go into our Meteor Comet Dragon dude. If this card's in our graveyard, we can also banish it and get a Red Eyes fusion from our graveyard or deck to our hand. So really nice. One thing I think this card does really well, obviously the special summon's really nice, but getting or playing less Red Eyes fusions is quite nice. Being able to get one back from the graveyard, or also you can get it from the deck too, but having at least some sort of recursion just by banishing this card is quite nice. Also, we gotta take a second to appreciate the artwork. It is so beautiful, it's so menacing. Probably one of my top 3 favorite Red Eyes arts out of all the Red Eyes monsters. Next up is Red Eyes Soul. This card's pretty great. If our opponent special summons a monster like at any time, we can just send this from our hand or field to the graveyard. Then we get the special summon the Red Eyes monster from our hand or deck for free. Any Red Eyes monster, really nice. Also, once per duel is a quick effect, we could just target one Red Eyes Black Dragon we control. We get to inflict damage to our opponent's life based on the attack of that card. So that is really nice. So once per duel, we're at least hitting in for, I mean, at least 900, because this is considered a Red Eyes Black Dragon out on the field. One thing to keep in mind, though, is Red Eyes Fusion does make any monster we summon with that Red Eyes Black Dragon. So if we go into Black Meteor Comet Dragon, we can inflict 3,500 points of damage because it does become Red Eyes Black Dragon, not Black Meteor Comet Dragon. Or Meteor Black Comet. Keep mixing that up. We can't do it on Dragoon though, because no one can target Dragoon. We also are playing one alternative Black Dragon, so if we do get the effect off of that to special summon a Red Eyes monster from our graveyard, then that Red Eyes Black Dragon will have 4,800 attack. So this thing can pump in a lot of free damage, and it's a quick effect, so quite spicy. But the best thing about this card is the special summon, and it being any Red Eyes monster. It is also level 7, so we can go into our rank 7 plays. Next up is Black Metal Dragon. This card pretty generic. I mean, you kind of need it in the Red Eyes decks. When this card gets sent to the field to the graveyard, we get any Red Eyes card. As long as it has Red Eyes in the title, we get it to our hand, or obviously we have to pick one. But really nice, and we can link it away. We have a couple options in the extra deck, so we can get into our graveyard kind of whenever we want. We can also equip it to any Red Eyes monster we have and gain some additional attack. Got one Black Alternative Dragon. This card is quite actually easy to summon. You just have to tribute a Red Eyes monster from your hand or field. Don't forget you can tribute from your hand. I always forget about that. And it just basically gets destroyed by anything our opponent has. We get to summon. I mean, it could be any Red Eyes monster, but typically you want to go with Red Eyes Black Dragon because it'll make its attack 4,800. Really fun. I'm only playing one. I mean, it's kind of a little, not necessarily a niche card, but you don't really want to see it that often. It definitely kind of pushes you over the top, but it doesn't really get you to where you want to go. Like Black Meteor Dragon, Soul, and Baby Metal, they kind of, help out our plays and get us to where we want to go. Alternative Dragon kind of just pushes us ahead. Same thing with Red Eyes Darkness Metal. I love this card in this deck. You can special summon it off of Red Eyes Soul. You can even grab it with Baby Metal or Black Metal. You can do a lot of things with this, and you get to, every turn, special summon a monster or a dragon from your graveyard onto the field. And there are some cards we're going to see in a second where we can kind of milk the strategy and kind of push it a little bit farther. Darkness Metal, love it in the deck. Now on for some spice. We got Fallen Albaz. Obviously, Fallen of Albaz and all the branded stuff is super good. So we're adding some of that engine to this deck to kind of, give it a little bit more power. Fallen Albaz is nice because it's a dragon. And that is great because Darkness Metal can revive it from the graveyard. And when this is normal or special summoned, we can discard a card and fusion summon a monster using our opponent's monsters. So we can send this to the graveyard off of some cards or something, you know, we fusion summoning, kind of doing our thing, and then boom, we get to revive it, and then fusion summon some of our opponent's monsters away. There's different like really weird things you can do with this. We're obviously playing in the extra deck a lot of different kind of fusion monsters we can go into this. So when we get there, we'll talk about that. But Fauna Abaz, we're running 2, pretty spicy. We obviously got Dark Magician because we want to go into Red Eyes Dragoon, one of the best Red Eyes monsters in the game. Got Bystial Baldrake. I like this card a lot. It's not amazing, but it's nice. So this is important. It's a dark level 6 dragon. So you can actually use this to summon Black Meteor Comet. And when it's in the graveyard, you can also revive it off of Red Eyes Darkness. This also works as a hand trap because you can target a light or dark monster in either graveyard and banish it. Then you get a special summon this card for free. One of the main reasons why I have this in the deck though is because if our opponent special summons a monster basically from the extra deck, we can tribute one light or dark monster and then target one of those special summon monsters and then just banish it. Spicy. So later in the game, or if we kind of set this up in our graveyard and we got some ways of reviving it, when we have it on the field, we can technically, you know, kind of control our opponent a little bit. It's not amazing. Like we're not gonna like again win the Pro Tour or the World Champion YCS with this deck, but it's kind of fun. It's got some extra little tech here and there, and kind of synergy. And I think Baldrake is nice again. Just dark level 6 dragon. That pretty much rounds out the monsters. I'm running just 3 hand traps. You can kind of flex spots, whatever you want to do. But yeah, this is the lineup I've been working on for a little bit. There's a lot of other Red Eyes cards that I've tested out and tried. And I mean, I'm not going to say they're bad, but they're just, I didn't think they were that optimal. But anyway, let's move on to some of the spells. For some of the spells, we got 3 Red Eyes Insight, pretty much a staple in the deck. This can get any Red Eyes monster out of our hand or deck and get it into the graveyard. It's obviously really good for sending, you know, just a normal Red Eyes monster because you don't really want to draw those, and in the graveyards where they work the best. But now we have a good option of Meteor or Black Meteor Dragon because we can have the potential to banish it to get a Red Eyes fusion. So there is also that aspect of the card now. And then we get to also add a Red Eyes Spell or Trap to the hand. Really good card in the deck. I definitely think 3 is optimal. Next up, I'm running 2 Red Eyes Fusion. I did have this at 3 and I really debated, you know, keeping it 3 or whatever, but because we have Red Eyes Insight is basically Red Eyes Fusion, we can also grab Red Eyes Insight off of the Black Metal Dragon. But obviously if we summon Black Metal, then we can't play Red Eyes Fusion. But we can also get it from Black Meteor. I just felt like there were so many ways of getting Red Eyes Fusion. I would rather not run that additional copy because sometimes it can be a dead card. I think 2 is where we want it. Again, that's open to debate, but I've been trying to find some extra space in the deck, and I think that is fine because again, we just have so many ways of getting it. Now for the other spice, we got Super Poly. We're going to show you the targets in a little bit, but Super Poly is just such a good card, and this deck is all basically, yeah, I think it's all dark monsters. So we have access to a lot of good plays. Also, this deck, it works pretty well going first and second. However, adding the Super Poly makes it even better if we're going second. Just having a good dedicated main board option or way of removing our opponent's monsters, I think is quite helpful. But yeah, Super Poly, it's just a beast card. Next up, we're running 2 Fusion Deployment. So this is just another way of either getting some of our Fallen of Albaz onto the field to potentially, you know, contact fuse our opponent's monsters away. Or maybe not contact fuse, fusion summon away. I'm used to talking about Cyber Dragons. We can also grab Dark Magician if we need it, or just Red Eyes Black Dragon, get another one onto the field as a special summon. We are locked into fusion summons, which is kind of the part. I think that Fusion Armament card, I might try testing that out. I just remembered that, but I did not test it up to this point. Might be a better card for this deck, but we'll see. But I thought Fusion Deployment would be pretty spicy in the deck. It's not like, I think, the best card in the deck, but it has a place. Next up, we're running 2 Dragon's Mirror. We're going to fusion summon 1 Fusion Dragon monster from an extra deck. We got to banish cards from a field or graveyard. This card, and it works well in this deck because we have so many dragon monsters to fusion summon, and we also are going to have a lot of cards in our graveyard. Because of that, this gives us the ability to at least make those monsters usable. I do realize also there's a lot of fusion cards. We got 3 Super Poly, 2 Red Eyes Fusion, 2 of these. So it is a lot of fusions, and sometimes, again, this deck can brick. It's not an amazing deck, and I think there's still some room for improvement, but this is at least another iteration that I wanted to share. We got 1 Inferno Fire Blast. I just couldn't not play this card. Like, it's just too fun. And again, if you Red Eyes Fusion into your Meteor Black Comet, oh my gosh, you get 3,500 damage, and then plus 1,200 because of the effect of Comet Dragon. You just deal so much burn damage. I still kind of consider this deck potentially a burn deck. Like, you can do a lot of damage just from burning. However, again, I didn't make it the main focus of the deck just because of the inconsistency with the burn. but there is still that potential where you can get away with it. I would play more Inferno Fire Blast, but it just gets a little risky. We got one Return of the Dragon's Lord. We can target a level 7 or 8 dragon monster in our graveyard, special summon it. Basically a monster reborn for our dragon monsters. And if this is in our graveyard and a dragon monster we control be destroyed by battle or card effect, we can just banish it instead. I think this card probably belongs at 2 or 3, at least 2. I've been testing the thing 2, but I only had 1 copy. It's like 10 bucks. But I think 2 in the deck, it's definitely really good. You can't search it though, which makes it a little worse, but yeah, definitely a great card in the deck. I got one for one just as a reason to get cards out of the hand, or specifically monsters out of the hand, and to get baby metal onto the field, or black metal. I think cutting that card might be okay, but I still want it in the deck just because it's another way to get something out of the hand, and just getting the black metal onto the field I thought was pretty important. We do have one Monster Reborn. Again, we're filling up our graveyard with a lot of cards, and the Monster Reborn in this deck, I think, does some work. I still think if you run multiple Return of the Dragon Lord card, you still want to run at least one Monster Reborn, because sometimes you want to revive something that isn't a level 7 or 8 dragon. You know, sometimes you have some other cards, you know, maybe you got Dragon. There's other cards in the deck that you might want, so that's where Monster Reborn comes in handy. Got Change of Heart just because I can't not play it. Harpies, again, same thing, just standard awesome lineup. Get some back row out of there. Called by because Ash on your Red Eyes Fusion kind of loses you the game, and just a good card. One Return of the Red Eyes, I like this because it's searchable off of a lot of cards we have, Red Eyes Insight and Black Metal. And later in the game or mid game when you have Red Eyes cards in the graveyard, if you can maintain one on the field, especially if you have Dragoon on the field, because this, again, if you summon this off Red Eyes Fusion, is Red Eyes Black Dragon, counts as a Red Eyes card. So the Red Eyes return with the Dragoon, man, it's spicy because their opponent can't really get rid of Dragoon that easily. And if Red Eyes returns on the field, you're just getting free summons every single turn. And when it's destroyed, you get to get a Red Eyes monster from your graveyard onto the battlefield. So it either really pays off or it's just really bad. That's just what I found. Last Red Eyes card is Red Eyes Fang with Chain. I don't know how I feel about this card. I love it because you could just kind of steal one of your opponent's monsters. It's super spicy. Also, Red Eyes monster you have can attack 2 times, but I never really attack 2 times with the monster I equip this with. Also because it's a trap. Typically, you know, when you activate it, you're just going to want to use the equip effect anyway. Definitely a good card. You only need 1 though because you can search it. Last 2 cards, we got our Gravedigger's Trap Hole. Kind of, again, just a little spice. If you don't know, when your opponent activates a monster effect that's in their hand, graveyard, or when your opponent's banished monster's effect is activated, you can negate the effect and inflict 2,000 battle damage to your opponent's points of life. Again, we do have elements of burn in this deck, and just something spicy like that, man, that's a lot of points. That's 25% of their health. Like a lot of other decks too, you know, hand traps really hurt this deck, but also hand traps are pretty relevant, so it definitely does punish our opponent. The only thing with this card though is, again, it's not searchable. You have to set it up, you know, go in turn 1, typically or turn 2 to set up for turn 3. I don't love it in the deck. I mean, I love the card, but I don't absolutely love it, but I like it enough to at least have 2. Burn damage is pretty spicy, and it's definitely surprising if people aren't expecting it, which most people shouldn't be expecting it, but I guess if you're playing Red Eyes, they might. Moving on to the extra deck, we got Dragoon, obviously. If you have 2 of these, I'd probably run 2, but I don't have 2. I don't want to spend the money. It's just so good, but that's why you need the Dark Magician. Typically, the card are going to be going into every single time. This is not a dragon monster, so you cannot revive it with Return of the Dragon Lords, and you can't fusion summon it with the other card, the Dragon's Mirror. It just isn't gonna work. Next up, we got Black Meteor Comet Dragon. Super awesome card, and even with the new addition, with the Black Meteor Dragon, this card just becomes so much more easy to summon and just a better card. But when this fusion summon, we get to send a Red Eyes monster from our hand or deck to the graveyard, and then we get to inflict half of its attack to our opponent's life points. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, we can special summon a normal monster from our graveyard. However, if we do fusion summon this with Red Eyes Fusion, and it's in the same turn, you can't, because obviously Red Eyes Fusion locks us into only summoning that one card, that one monster that turn. So there is that kind of annoying thing with it, but definitely really good. And again, we got cards like Inferno Fire Blast to do additional damage. I do really like this card. In this deck, there's so many ways to summon it. We can also go into Dragon's Mirror too, but again, if you're Dragon's Mirror, then you can't use Inferno Fire Blast, but it's just little things like that you gotta remember. But really spicy card. On to the Fallen of Albaz stuff, we get the Mirror Jade. Love this card because you get to remove one of your opponent's extra deck monsters, and if it leaves the field because of our opponent's card effect, we just get to destroy all their monsters at the end phase. It's just such an annoying creature, pretty easy to summon, and we can go use Super Poly into it, but typically we're going to be using the Fallen of Albaz to go into that. This is going to be the card that we're sending to the graveyard off of Mirror Jade's effect. So if we want to banish a monster, we can quick effect activate this, and then we're going to send this card to the graveyard. During our opponent's turn, if this card's in our graveyard, we can quick effect target one Fallen of Albaz in our graveyard and special summon it, or we can special summon this card, but again, had to be, I guess, properly fusion summoned. But kind of a spicy way just to get another Fallen of Albaz into the field and potentially into some other play. But I just realized I don't really have another play. I think this deck might need 2 Mirror Jades. But the main thing I want to do is just get a free Mirror Jade and be annoying, because we can. Some of the Super Poly targets, we got Starving Venom. I mean, you need 2 Dark Monsters, but even if your opponent's not playing Darks, we have all the Dark Monsters in the deck. So you can still easily go into Starving Venom. Next up, we got Draco Stapelia. You just need a Fusion Monster and some other Dark Monster. Such a good card. Like, you so easily go into Super Poly with this, or just, again, Fusion Summon it. Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention, again, this card you can only go into Super Poly with, because it's the only way to summon it. But Starving Venom is a dragon, so you can use the Dragon's Mirror for this, and you just need 2 Dark Monsters. So good. Yeah, Draco Stapelia. Get the Mud Dragon just because it's a great Super Poly target. Again, we kind of wanted to focus on mostly the fusions in this deck because there's just so many cards that allow us to fusion summon. However, I still want to obviously play other cards in the extra deck because I don't want the deck only to be fusion cards despite having a lot of fusion spells. But I am also still testing some things out, trying to see what ratios and things work. But anyway, Black Flare Metal, it's a Red Eyes deck. You gotta have one of these. You just need 2 level 7 Red Eyes cards. Helps burn our opponent away. Pretty nice. Did originally have 2 in the deck, but I just had to make room and I sadly had to cut it. Got cards like Draco Sack, again, 2 level 7 monsters. This card creates some tokens for free, and you get to kind of, get rid of the tokens and kill things on the field. The reason why I'm playing this card is just because it gives Red Eyes, kind of the ability to pop things on the field, which we don't really, I guess, have a lot of cards that do that. Again, we burn things, but we can't, like, pop specific things. So when we need to pop things or whatever, we can just summon Draco Sack and get rid of it. Next up, we got Big Eye, such a good level 7 monster. Just detach a card and take control of our opponent's monster. So if our opponent's got some annoying thing on the field and we get this card on the field, we just steal it for free, and then it's just ours now. So definitely a lot of utility in the deck. Going on to some Link plays, we got Link Karibo. This is going to help us survive, and we can also get this card on the field easily with getting rid of Baby Metal or Black Metal. Got Dragon Pisky, again a good card too, just a link away or Black Metal, get to the field to graveyard to be able to activate its effect. One thing good about this card is it's a dragon, so one good play I like to do actually, again, it's not a combo video, but I'm just thinking about it now. You go into your Black Metal and then you link it away with Pisky, and you grab your Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, and then you, because this is a dragon, you get to banish this and then special summon Black Metal for free. Then you can bring back, whatever dragons in your graveyard because of Black Metal's effect. This does lock you into dragon cards, only special summoning dragons, so keep that in mind. I always, kind of forgot about that, but keep it in mind. Got the Dark Charmer because, again, we have so many dark cards. We also are running, like, Change of Heart, even Big Eye if we want to kind of link some things away. Lastly, we got the Heavenly Sphere. I don't love this card, but it definitely comes up and you might say you need it, but in just some situations, it's just really good to have in the deck. You just need 2 dragon monsters. During your opponent's turn, you could tribute this card, and then you could kind of just pop or bounce something on the field back to their opponent's hand, and then you could get to summon kind of a free dragon from your deck. Being able to return something for your opponent's field to their hand is really nice, but also getting that extra dragon from the deck to the field is also really good too, because again, there's just like you do Black Metal. Again, the attack and defense do become 0, but it's not the end of the world, again, because it kind of depends on obviously what you're doing, but there are a lot of situations that just comes up. I really would like to potentially maybe add like another Mirror Jade or maybe 2 more slots for Fallen of Albaz cards because I think it's lacking. Anyway, though, let me know some room for potential improvement. We'll probably do some, deck tech combo videos, or I guess more like a live duel probably soon. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for some more videos. Take care. See you later.